Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's the 2nd of June 2021. Now, I'll try and make a relatively brief comment here. What you're seeing here is perhaps not familiar to everybody, because what it is I've cropped an actual photo that was taken from a video of US Navy pilots of that UFO, whole series of UFOs at the time, over aircraft carriers and in the general vicinity of about 60 to 80 miles west of San Diego, California. In 2004 there was one other incident. Another incident, I'm not sure whether this photo resulted from that or from the one in 2017, but irrespective, and I think it is the 2017 photo, you can bring it up close and you can see typically what is a flying saucer, if you like, or UFO or flying saucer. Now, you can't call it a drone. You know, people say, oh, it could be a Russian drone, or it could be a Chinese drone. Well, no, it can't actually, because it can do, been tracked on radar to do 5,000 miles an hour at least, I understand, and so forth. But what the main reason for the video actually is that the US government will receive a report on what it knows, everything it knows about UFOs, by the 25th of June. Now, I've entitled this worst case and best case scenarios of that report. Now, I don't know what's going to be in the report, but that's why I'm saying this situation is that what I would describe as a worst case scenario, which would be similar to reports over many years, including Blue Book, and they had Project Sign, they had other reports, Project Grudge, would you believe, and other reports. They just dismiss UFOs as some aircraft or some devices that are misidentified. And then, of course, the UFO cases over the years, oh, well, they could have been, I mean, it was anything. Swamp gas, oh, you could have seen the planet Venus, or, oh, there's all kinds of things that it could have been. Now, these movies that were made from the F-18s by some of the top aviators in America have forced the full examination of this situation. Now, in order to say, well, that's the worst case scenario, which I think it is, they could just dismiss it and say, oh, well, they're unknown, we can't work them out, and oh, it could be drones, but no, we just can't work them out. That's the worst case scenario. Now, the best case scenario would be, and a lot of this is coming out incidentally in just very recent days, well, these craft, and they've been described as craft and have also been described as vehicles, are alien, or some of them are. One could say if 95% were not, if 5%, which is equal to thousands per year, are alien craft, we've got a different situation on our hands. And further to the best scenario, shall I say, and you'd think, well, okay, that's interesting enough, that's extraordinary enough. What you've got to consider is what if the US government decided that enough is enough, there's been enough lies and cover-ups over 70 years or more, and the people who have claimed that the US government has crashed sources, at least one from Roswell and one from Aztec, another in 1948, and the bodies from those craft, and all that's been described on television here on a very, very good documentary called The Phenomenon. We look further into it, you'll see that there's far more to it than these just could be alien. Now, if the US government says, okay, well, we'll all come clean, we can't blame our current administration, you can't blame anyone in the past who was a president, for example, because I've got to explain very briefly, US presidents are given a certain clearance to see some top secret information. The security clearance is pretty high. Now, first you need a security clearance if you're going to work at the White House, for argument's sake. Or you're going to work as a civilian at the military, you need a security clearance. And then you move up the chain, you've got people in higher positions that need even more security clearances. And they're privy to far more information. The president is not given the information that the government itself, that not to say that the civilian government, but the military and the Secret Service and others, including you've got CIA, of course, to a certain degree, you've got the NSA, but more so for international, and other military intelligence agencies. They have far more access to high security information. Now, if it is true, and some people would laugh and say, oh, you're talking nonsense, but if it was true that they do have the bodies, they do have the craft and everything, what I'm hoping for, and I could call this really by far the best case scenario, is that they bring them out, in other words, and they have displays, they have scientists, they have biologists, they have all kinds of people who are experts in their field, come and examine these bodies which are in a chemical to preserve them all that time. They can take DNA samples and all the rest of it and say, well, the DNA is not from this earth. So that's all they need to say. So people should understand that there are the best case and worst case scenarios here. I'm hoping that, as I just said, the best case scenario comes out, and that actually the craft and the bodies and other things come out, and this will have a totally devastating effect on some people. And I'm a Christian, and but I'm not what you could call a Christian fundamentalist. In other words, I don't take everything in the Bible as word for word. I take that as like a parable, and some people would think that's very controversial. Parables, like Jesus spoke in parables, well, God might have spoken in parables too, to give us the creation story and other things. It'll certainly put a cat amongst the pigeons, shall we say. So I would say, be prepared, be, if you like, mentally prepared, spiritually prepared, whatever you like, for the outcome of this report, which, as I've been saying, is due by the 25th of June. So when it does come out, you can always say, oh, well, I saw a little video by John Coyle, or I saw other videos, by the way, I'm not alone by far in this, in which it was outlined that they could do either a fudge job, like I said, which is like the other reports, and we just don't know, to anything right through to these are alien. Then, even better still, right through to we will reveal the bodies and the craft and so forth. So I just thought I'd give you this as an idea of some thoughts on the subject, and I don't mind civil and polite comments at all. I'd welcome that. So thanks for viewing.